Darts Premier League Night 10 is here. My name is Corbin from the Parlay Club, and I've got the best bets and the plays the books do not want you knowing about. Let's get right into it. As always, drop a comment, like, subscribe, all that kind of fun stuff. Quick recap of last week. Went 0-3. We had, what did we have in the end? We had, I've forgotten his name. Clayton Moneyline versus Rock again. We had Littler. Actually, we had Littler and Clayton. We had the bullseye that lost, and I cannot remember the other play, but I remember we went 0-3, which leads us to 19-8 for an overall run, which is still phenomenal. Just going to keep rolling, basically. Got to be kind of more careful now. Last month or so has been slightly more unpredictable to when we started off. I think it was like 15-2 run. So yeah, not so good the last couple of weeks, but we look to get it all back here and start going through the games. First game up is Humphreys versus Clayton. Wow, where do I start with these two? If the page even wants to load, we'll give that a second. But these are two players that are just really baffling to me at the minute, and I can't work out what is going on. Well, I can, we'll get to that, but like it doesn't make sense. So we'll start with Humphreys, who's now lost three straight Premier League games: 6-1, 6-3, and 6-2. You look at his stats, and his averages are still pretty good. They're still in the 100 plus range mostly. It's just the finishing that's causing him the issues. He's having like 20-30% checkouts, which just isn't enough in some of these areas. Clayton was red hot, as we all know. And then back to back weeks, he's lost in the first round to Rock, which is rather worrying. And he looked awful at the weekend. I don't normally take too much stock into those like players' championships or Euro tours, but he was really bad at what he is normally most consistent with, which is like steady scoring mixed with like really high or like kind of like 40-50+% checkouts. He's normally really clinical and takes his chances, but right now he just looks off the pace. Is it like fatigue factor? Because obviously Clayton's not used to playing every single week this much back to back with all the traveling and stuff. Um, Humphreys will get it together. It's a question of when. It's like you look at the odds. So Humphreys is minus 205, and on paper, if I had to pick a winner, I'd pick Humphreys just because the scoring. And you feel if it comes down to, so they're both not good at checkouts at the minute, but I trust Humphreys scoring way more than I trust Clayton's, given the last month or so. But again, laying minus 200 on two players that have been so like up and down throughout the year already, I don't see the point in that. You could look at overs, but then again, you look at Humphreys when he loses, he can lose spectacularly. There's just really no kind of opportunity, I think, in this game. It's one that you could easily get live. I think you could watch the game. If somebody starts off clinical and checkouts, you take them as soon as you can. This Humphreys over 99.5 dart average. I quite like that. I don't have an opinion on the Clayton one. So yeah, it's either this is the at plus 100 sounds pretty good to me, but like that's the only possible play I think you can come out of that game with. Um, we'll go on to Price versus Rock. I think this arguably might be my favorite matchup, like the most clear. Um, you can get Price for around minus 200 in other books. But Price has been fantastic this year. He won last week. All the matches he won 6-2. He was finishing well, averages of 104, 115, 105. I think he's going to keep rolling into this week. He didn't play at the weekend. He's going to not be jet lagged or fatigued or like traveling around. So I think that sets up perfectly for him. Rock did play at the weekend. Again, uninspiring performance from him. His only wins so far in the Premier League are those back-to-back games that I just mentioned about Clayton. He's mainly still averaging in the like 80s or low 90s. I will be playing price money line. As I said, you can get closer to minus 200, but I will be parlaying the minus 200-ish on price. I think he coasts here. I think he wins. Even this minus 1.5, minus 130. Like, again, I mention it so often, but I don't understand how -1.5 can be -130 and a money line being -230, because -1.5, so that's winning 6-4. Okay, if it gets to six, so it has to go to at least 5-5 for it to not cash the -1.5. If it gets to 5-5, this is a pick and match, like straight away. It's going to be -110 on both. Maybe slightly, maybe -120 for price. Depends who has the throw. You're better off almost, I think, taking the -1.5 on its own. That's actually might be how I play this game. I haven't quite come to that determination yet. But again, the difference in this price is crazy. If it comes down to a last leg shootout, the favorite is just whoever has the throw. So yeah, that's rather baffling to me, quite honestly. What are the averages? I wouldn't take any totals other than if Price could nuke him by 6, -2.5. If Price is throwing first, this +145 is going to look like a gem. I think if Rocket's throwing first, it could be like a 6-4. At which point, again, still you're -1.5 cashes here. What are the averages for both? Again, I like Price over 99.5, and I love Rock under 95.5. He just hasn't done it consistently. Yeah, basically, I think your best bet is Price in this matchup. I think he wins quite comfortably. Just want to mention client plays. So we're up last 7 days, although rather small. But you can't always have big weeks, so you got to celebrate any winning week you can get. Some people were asking where to find spreadsheets or information. I always post or link this Link Me page. This has the link to all my socials here. If you want the spreadsheet, you click on this link here, which takes you, hopefully, if it wants to load, it will take a second because it's quite a big spreadsheet. It loads this spreadsheet with all my plays. You'll get a very quick idea of what kind of plays that I kind of like and go for. Um, hints in the name, but it's normally parlays across a range of multiple sports, responsible staking, and a proven track record over the last 5 years. This only shows the last since the start of the year, since we left Wager Talk. If you want any previous years, I'm happy, obviously, to give it to you. But yeah, you get a flavor rather quickly when you look at this of like, so we've got some NBA, some tennis, cross sport. If you want to look at any kind of information, you can scroll through it. So you can see this week, haven't fully updated it this week, but tennis, darts, boxing, cross sports, KBO, soccer, motorsport, it's all there. So yeah, highly recommend jumping on at least a month or a year's pass. Anyone can win or lose in a week's period, but yeah, the stats don't lie when you look at the all time, which is just for this year because I haven't got last year's data in there. 104 units is crazy good. Already in March, we're going for hopefully 200. Made 115, I want to say, last year, but again, that was only half a year at Wager Talk. So yeah, highly recommend month or year subscription. Let's get back into it. Next game is Littler versus Bunting. First, we have to touch on Littler. The head loss is from last week was crazy. He completely lost his cool multiple times in that matchup versus Van Veen. I'm not entirely sure why. He definitely seems less focused this year and way more flustered. My only question mark with Littler is whether this carries on into this week. We've seen that a couple of times where he kind of spirals a little bit. It depends, I think, on the crowd here in Brighton, which is a weird thing to say. If the crowd's behind him, I think he romps this game easily. If the crowd's against him, I think he still wins, although closer than the -500 will show. He's shown that he dominates this matchup every time they play. He's won the last four, two of which were in the Premier League, both 6-3 wins. You can also do the match double. I've mentioned that before when they've played, which is Littler, Moneyline, and most 180s. You can't get it, I believe, at DraftKings. But you can see here the most 180s is -175. You have that with the Littler money line, it basically brings it down to -110 or so. That very well may be a client play, and it was the last two times that they played. Bunting's averages have kind of been, they've been okay, they've been high, but as I've mentioned before, but he's just not consistent. It's the checkouts again for Bunting. You don't know what Bunting you're going to get. There's kind of clutch moments where he needs to take out I don't know, an 87. You never feel like he's going to get it. Whereas with the likes of Littler, you feel like he's always got a chance. Let's look at the averages. Again, I kind of like this Bunting averages. We've mentioned it before, but when these players play Littler, their averages get bumped up. A, because they hit less doubles and they have less opportunities to hit doubles, which obviously brings their score back. If you're hitting a double 5, that's going to impact your score more than hitting a treble 20. And you have to score against Littler. So yeah, I quite like this Bunting over 96.5. Littler, he could take this, he could win this with probably like a 98 average if he wanted to. So yeah, plays for this one, Littler money line, Littler winner most 180s, and probably Bunting over 96.5 average. I really like those three. Van Veen versus Van Gerwen. Wow, this is just like the first game. I think this game is tough to call. I've not really got any idea which way this one goes. MVG got routed at the weekend, 6-1 to Springer, 1 for 7 on doubles. Lost to Bunting last week, going 3 for 11 on doubles. You just have no faith in Van Gogh when he displays those kind of showings in multiple performances in a week or so span. Van Veen also lost at the weekend, losing 6-2 to a very average player, averaging just 91. He hasn't impressed me at all in the slightest. Obviously, came back from the surgery 3 weeks ago now, I think it was. First week he was awful. Last week he was better, but again, Littler should have taken his chances and beaten him. It's kind of, I think both of these are messy matches, and I think whoever wins this match, I think you can easily fade in the second round. I really don't see a way that you can attack this other than maybe under 5.5 180s. That might be the play, but not particularly sold. I think you're better off sticking to the price money line and the Littler plays that I just mentioned. Always mention the bullseye finishes. When lost every single one last week, but honestly I don't care. That's now 5-1-3 for the Darts Premier League season so far. Again, even if it goes 50-50, you're still making a profit. Just going to keep playing it here. Lost convincingly last week, which probably means that it bounces back this week. I don't know why I bother checking the price every week, because it always ends up pretty much the same. So for the new people, I have started now sprinkling this plus 285, not even like half a unit, maybe like 0.25 of the unit or something. But what you really want is this 2-pick round robin, which puts every combination together basically. So it puts like Humphreys and Clayton one with Price and Rock, and then Humphreys and Clayton with Littler, Bunting. You get the idea. It puts every kind of combination together. You hit all of them, you basically double your money, which is a nice plus money win. You go 3-1, you make a profit. 2-2, break even to slight loss, and then 1-4 or 0-4, and you basically lose everything. But that's why we've only been playing them for 1.5 units or so. Yeah, as I mentioned, if you want to jump on client plays, obviously go to the link me or go to my DubClub, which is the first link in this link me page. It'll take you to my DubClub page, and you can see all the information, prices, all of that kind of fun stuff. There's some more information. Knock yourselves out if you want to read it. If you have any questions or anything, obviously DM me, comment, whatever you want. I'm always accessible. Yeah, like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff, and on to next week.